Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're venturing into a truly unique collection of ideas.
Yeah, very unique.
Our listener, the learner, shared these excerpts from Scroll of Eyes, module.11.pdf, and well, we're going to explore the framework it presents. It's pretty fascinating stuff about angels, demons, their interactions with humanity, drawing on some really ancient concepts.
hmm And our mission really is just to unpack some of the most, let's say, intriguing claims and try to understand the system they're presenting here.
Okay, so this source material, it's quite ambitious, isn't it?
It really is. It's framed as this work dedicated to a teacher, someone held as a political prisoner, and it's written by someone calling themselves the young elder.
The young elder.
And right from the preface, it sets out to establish a very, very specific worldview.
All right, let's dig into that preface then. So the young elder says the book is aiming to educate the, quote, ignorant with right knowledge.
Right knowledge, yeah.
And to, clear away myths and lies and even confirm what scholars have supposedly speculated about God.
Which is a big claim in itself.
Definitely. And here's where it gets really specific. It introduces this idea of 23 elders who apparently descended from heaven to give humans knowledge, wisdom, understanding, the whole package.
Yeah, and the implication of that origin story is, well, it's fascinating. It's trying to ground all human knowledge, or at least the important stuff, in this divine or maybe extraterrestrial source.
Right. So by saying these elders are the ones who started math sciences.
Including relativity,
Mm-hmm.
which is quite a jump.
Yeah. And founded mystery schools in pyramids and temples. It's basically giving immense authority to this specific right knowledge they're talking about.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, the fundamentals of how you understand the universe, those were gifts from us, these celestial beings.
It establishes this direct lineage kind of from the cosmos to our brains.
And they're identified as high priests, specifically after the order of Melchizedek.
Melchizedek. Okay, that name comes up later too.
It does. And they're supposedly responsible for keeping the universe in order, even building spacecraft. UFOs are explicitly mentioned.
Right, UFOs are part of this. Plus, this mention of a 26,000-year cycle of change, influenced by different divine wisdoms called Elohim.
Yeah, it suggests this really grand cyclical view of history. Things change, civilizations rise and fall, all under the influence of these different Elohim wisdoms.
It feels like it's drawing on a lot of different threads, maybe from ancient myths or esoteric stuff.
Absolutely. Concepts of cycles, interventions by advanced beings. You find echoes of that in various places. The Scroll of Eyes seems to be weaving them into its own big model of reality and history.
Okay, so after setting that stage, the narrative introduces a really key figure, Sandalphon.
Sandalphon.
He's the 26th elder on a council of 27, an archangel of the Most High. And get this, he's supposedly incarnated on Earth 8 times.
8 times, yeah. Most recently, it says June 1975.
Wow. Okay, so what's his job? What does he do in this framework?
He's got a few roles. He's described as a caretaker of the earth, for one.
Okay.
He also presents prayers to the Most High, and apparently directs music in the heavens. The text even describes his ethereal form, adding this, visual element.
And linking him to past figures, Temis, Haru, Joshua, suggesting he's been around in different forms for a long time.
Exactly, like a continuity of this specific divine consciousness popping up throughout history.
And his mission now seems very focused on, well, us, humans.
Yeah, definitely. Inspiring this personal connection to the God within, using talents constructively.
And not for Luciferians, it specifies.
Right. And this goal of turning the hearts of fathers to children and vice versa. Teaching real love as an action, not just a feeling.
That part's quite resonant. Plus, this claim about their children, they're supposed to leave with them by 2030, 2036.
Yeah, with a potential 7-year grace period pushing it to 2043, it sets a very specific time frame, doesn't it?
It really does. Adds a sense of urgency, maybe.
For sure. And his connections to other names mentioned, Yanun, who's also Michael, Matatrun, Rasi Eljun, it paints this picture of a whole network of these beings working together.
Okay, so this naturally leads into the central conflict presented. It's basically angels versus demons.
That's the core of it. The cosmology has these 26 elders coming to Earth from a mothership.
Called Nibiru.
Nibiru, yeah. Which for some people, that name alone rings bells with certain alternative theories about space.
Right, so they come from Nibiru to raise human consciousness before this deadline.
And they're opposed by Lucifer and his cherubim.
Okay. And Michael, who is also Yanun, he's the leader of the elders in this fight.
Correct. And the text even points out the meaning of his name. Who dare to be like El. highlighting his role as, like, the main challenger to Lucifer's rebellion.
And here's a link to something more familiar. The 27 elders are equated with the 24 elders from the book of Revelation.
Yeah, it makes that explicit connection and clarifies that elder here just means a representative head, a leader.
We also get this distinction between ascended masters and archangels. How does that work?
Well, ascended masters are described as beings who've passed higher initiations. They kind of oversee Earth now.
Mhm.
Archangels, on the other hand, serve more directly according to divine will. It's like layers of management, you could say.
Celestial management. Okay.
Right.
So let's get into the different types of angels described. First up, the seraph or seraphim, highest class.
Highest class, yeah. Caretakers of Anu's throne, always singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Yahweh."
They're called the burning ones.
And portrayed as benevolent extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
They wish others well, come in peace. But interestingly, they apparently lack the power to destroy.
Really? So they're agreeable, but maybe easily tricked by the cherubim.
That's the implication.
Hmm.
It suggests that pure benevolence in this system might have its limits when it comes to fighting back directly.
And the fact that many who sided with Hael, that's Lucifer, right?
Another name for him.
That many of them were seraphim who turned dark. That adds complexity. Even the highest can fall.
Exactly. It shows a potential vulnerability even at that level.
Okay, then we have the cherub or cherubim. These are the guardians, the warriors.
Right. Tarnush, who we'll get to later, and his people are cherubs. Most of them fought with Michael against the dragon.
They're called wise gods, representing strength, kingship, and they replace the fallen watchers as guardians of humans.
But, and here's where it gets tricky,
Hmm.
the text also describes them as potentially malevolent spirits. Often going against good can be evil.
That seems like a direct contradiction. How does the text handle that?
It actually acknowledges the complexity. It says, not all malevolent beings are strictly evil, and agreeable benevolent beings might sometimes agree to bad things.
Huh.
And even stranger, it suggests that malevolent cherubim form Anu's army, led by Michael Yanun. That's not your standard view.
Definitely not. So they guard Anu's glory, keep cosmic records, help humans grow spiritually, but can also be malevolent.
That's the picture painted.
Yeah.
It also mentions the biblical description, 4 faces, 4 wings, and says the text finds that description disagreeable.
Okay, and the third type, clashers or netraloids.
Right. These are presented as a balance, half cherub, half seraph, like 180 degrees of each.
Creating willpower. And humans. We have this nature, neutrality, refusal to take sides.
That's what it says. We can use our cherub side, the left, to disagree, or the seraph side,
Okay.
the right, to agree.
The analogy of the match is good. It can burn things down or give warmth. That choice between bad and good.
Exactly. It seems really fundamental to this whole cosmology, the idea that humans, as netraloids, are inherently neutral with this power of choice.
So the big cosmic battle is also happening inside us, kinda.
Seems like it. And it even uses this micro-level analogy. Seraphim are protons, cherubim are electrons guarding the outside, and netraloids are neutrons, balance and potential.
Wow, okay. From cosmology to subatomic particles. Next up, the Nephilim.
Yes, the Nephilim, portrayed as these tall, muscular demigods.
Children of angels or extraterrestrials and humans.
Right. Incredible power, shape-shifting, advanced weapons, the works.
And then there's this figure Tarnush, identified as a first Satan.
He supposedly convinced other angels to live free from Anu's laws, leading to them being cast out of heaven, the 5th dimension.
So this is their origin story for fallen angels.
Pretty much. It ties into that rebellion idea, and it mentions principalities, angels guiding nations or groups, and says everyone's bound by them, but truth makes you free.
Adding more layers to the angelic roles. Okay, what about the overall cosmic hierarchy?
There's a definite structure laid out at the very top. The Most High God Anu, also called Raziel Fared or El Elo.
Anu, okay.
Then below that, Yahweh of Yahwehs, Lord of Lords, King of Kings. Only 2 beings hold that title.
Only 2. Interesting.
And Yahweh of Elohim, Lord of God's 13 beings.
Yeah.
Then the Elohim themselves, who are the angelic beings from heaven.
And then humans.
Then human beings, and finally the animal kingdom.
But it ends that section saying, we are all one. How does that square with the hierarchy?
Good question. The hierarchy suggests different roles, different levels of power maybe. But we are all one probably points to this underlying unity, right? Like everything comes from the same source, even if it manifests differently. It's a common idea in mystical thought.
Yeah, okay. Differentiated unity. Now, archangels again. High-ranking angels governing nature, miracles, encouraging faith. Originally 7.
Originally 7, now 9 listed. We have the
Yeah.
familiar ones, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael.
Yep.
but also Israel, who's identified as Zagzagul, or Enki, Uziel, who's Jahul, and Samael.
Who's identified as Azazel, tarnished the devil. He's on the list.
He is, in the original list of 7,
Yeah.
apparently, which is definitely a departure from mainstream views.
For sure.
The text explains he broke away, convinced a third of heaven's hosts, described again as extraterrestrials, to join him. And it even gives his origin, a humanoid reptilian from Titan. Hence, Satan.
And the devil is D plus evil.
That's the etymology offered, yeah. So after he broke off, 3 more were added, Raziel, Metatron, and Sandalphon, making the first original 10.
Then 17 more high-ranking angels added later, making the 27 masters or elders we heard about earlier.
Correct. And it repeats that numerical thing. 13 cherubim plus 13 seraphim, it equals 26 netraloids. 180 plus 180 is 360 degrees. Lots of specific numbers.
Very structured. Okay, this then leads into this idea of a dimensional shift, the 5th dimension merging into the 3rd.
Yeah, causing these higher being energies to manifest more strongly here. And certain people are chosen to carry this energy.
The 27 elders have miraculous power from Anu, it says, and this is where these celestial vessels come in. What are they supposed to be?
They sound like
Well,
conduits, maybe. Ways for Archangel Michael and Zagzagul to anchor some of their higher dimensional power into our world as the dimensions merge.
why? What's the goal?
To boost things like miracles, healing, consciousness expansion, enlightenment, joy, all during this dimensional shift.
And these vessels, they're going to be released to 271 people, plus 1 extra, hey all.
Uh-huh. People who supposedly have archangelic souls
Yeah.
to help anchor this merging of worlds.
And how do these people get them?
Interestingly, through purchase.
Purchase, like buy them.
That's what it says. The vessel itself is supposed to continuously recharge with celestial power based on planets and stars, promising faster spiritual growth for the owners, helping them lead the way.
It's called a considerable investment, and only 271 offered. That's a unique mix of spirituality and commerce.
It is definitely a unique blend, isn't it? A physical object, cosmically powered, acquired through a transaction. Very distinct.
Okay, then the tone shifts a bit to opposition and control. It quotes Psalms about rulers plotting against the Lord and his anointed.
Yes, setting up the idea of resistance to this divine plan.
And it gives a really specific and frankly startling example. Alleged injection of PCP, angel dust, into babies' brains.
It's a very specific and alarming claim, yes.
Hmm?
Supposedly to deaden something called the barothry gland.
The barothry gland. What's that supposed to be?
According to this text, it's the connection to 4 higher senses: clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, and psychometry. So the claim is this injection deliberately cuts people off from those abilities, makes them forgetful.
That's quite a claim.
Mhm.
Okay. Then we encounter the Watchers, or Grigori.
Right, another group of angels, described as this mysterious order created to be earthly shepherds for the first humans.
But they became the first faction of fallen angels.
That's the narrative here. Physically and spiritually huge, technologically advanced scouts, warriors, designers, talented in crystal science, astronomy, biology, combat, philosophy.
Wow. Human-like but bigger, though they can hide their height. The Watchers pop up in other old texts too, don't they?
They do, yeah. Often in apocryphal writings linked to forbidden knowledge and, angels mixing with humans. This text emphasizes their advanced tech and their role in that early fall.
Okay, so chapter 1 then zooms in on Yanun Michael.
Right, a deeper dive into him, also known as Melchizedek, king of Salem, king of peace.
Leader, 19th elder, air element, and other archangels report to him, basically, like heading branches of activity.
Seems like it. Guardian angels under Michael, messengers under Gabriel, healing under Raphael, that kind of structure.
And it stresses asking for help from the heart, aloud or silent. And if you're in danger, call Michael for instant protection.
Yeah, emphasizing his protective role. He's also co-holder of the first ray, the divine will of God, with someone called Azabuk el Moria, wields the sword of light.
And his focus is on bringing human souls self-power. Not power over others, but power within.
Exactly. By releasing self-denial, emotional attachments, fears, he represents the consciousness of power as this fundamental life force. His job is to tell the other archangels how to execute the divine plan.
So, protection, guidance, empowerment. He's King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Melchizedek's son, or King of Righteousness.
And his name, Yanun, means old light or old light of El, holds the power to defeat the great dragon.
And Melchizedek, this ancient cosmic being in charge of the Order of Melchizedek.
Right, an order for anyone serving from divine guidance, organizing mystery schools with secrets of God, the universe true history, working to establish heaven on earth.
Jesus was a high priest in this order, And all humans belong at some level.
That's the claim. And significantly, Melchizedek wasn't born and didn't die, apparently.
Wow. And he gifts mankind things like freedom, forgiveness, creativity, alchemy.
Transmutation, sacred ritual, he tends the Holy Grail in its flame of life.
And his signet, his symbol, is the octalpha, the eightfold endless triangle, which is also the 47th problem of Euclid.
Yeah, it makes that direct connection, linking this profound spiritual figure to a specific geometric principle.
What's the thinking there? Why link geometry and Melchizedek?
Well, it suggests this underlying mathematical geometrical order to everything, right? Including the divine. Like geometry itself holds spiritual truth, symbolizes cosmic principles.
Okay, so let's unpack this 47th problem of Euclid. The text goes into detail.
It does, calls it mysterious to the uninitiated, often seen as a Masonic symbol.
Euclid, father of geometry, building on Pythagoras, focusing on the 3.4.5 ratio puzzle.
Right, the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah.
A plus B, B, C is 20t. And it highlights the squares of the first four numbers, 1, 4, 9, 16, and their differences, 3, 5, 7.
3, 5, 7. Those numbers are important in Freemasonry.
Very important according to this, representing steps. 3 master masons, 5 fellow craft, 7 entered apprentices needed to open a lodge. Steps on the winding stair, even connects them to star systems, Orion's belt, Arcturus, Pleiades.
Wow. And it was necessary for architects, for foundations, using the square.
Essential for getting those right angles correct. Important for operative practical masons and speculative symbolic masons. Ancient Egyptians, the rope fasteners, used it for laying out building.
You're observing the stars, like Polaris, to get north-south, then using the square for east-west.
Exactly.
Right.
And the 3.4.5 ratio is the key to making that perfect right angle triangle. The text even tells you how to show it with sticks and a knotted string.
And it still has uses today. Navigation, tunneling, measuring star distances, surveying.
Yeah, highlights its practical value. So it's seen as this perfect Freemasonry symbol, teaching respect for arts, sciences, religion, awe of God's knowledge, a reminder of how to navigate using simple tools.
The Masonic symbol itself, 3 oddly shaped black boxes in that 3.4.5 ratio with the triangle, symbolizing the power to square one's own square.
Right, like correcting yourself when you're out of square. Old carpenter squares use the ratio.
And the significance of 3, 5, 7, again, odd numbers, ages or levels, alluding to so mote it be.
Yeah, that ritual phrase meaning so may it be or so it is required.
Yeah.
Like, amen. It really layers meaning onto this geometric problem.
Okay. Then the text shows 3 actual symbols.
The real symbols of the order, the Knights of Michael, and the consecration cross.
That red cross found in shrines on Templar graves.
But intriguingly, it claims the same cross is found in ancient Egyptian Coptic crosses at Philae Temple, predating the Knights Templar.
So what's the point of showing that overlap?
Well, it seems like it's trying to establish this ancient lineage, right? Suggesting the symbols and maybe the principles of this order go way back, further than the Templars, creating historical depth.
Then comes a really unexpected connection. The Umbrella Corporation logo from Resident Evil.
Yeah, it claims the Umbrella logo and the Knights Templar sign are the same.
And it describes Umbrella Corp, this fictional entity, as if it's real. A Lord of London multinational conglomerate, 70s to now, in all these industries.
Cosmetics, pharma, robots, health foods, transport, tourism. Like a typical huge company built to cover up illegal stuff.
Specifically developing biological weapons under the guise of vaccine research, violating treaties.
That's the claim within the text, using its other businesses, like tourism, as fronts to move viral samples, and developing weapons too.
That is a wild connection to make, linking Templars and Umbrella Corps.
It's definitely one of the more startling and highly speculative assertions in the material. We have to remember, this is what the source is claiming.
Right. Okay, shifting gears slightly. Sigils and glyphs.
Magical symbols, basically. Used to invoke spirits, used with prayer, incantations, meditation.
And there's an example symbol described as being like Michael Yanion's phone number.
Yeah, like 13 digits in this analogy. It's called a glyph. A symbol is a language.
Like stargates use glyphs representing star system.
Exactly. Based on constellations. Milky Way stargates have 39 symbols on the inner ring, it says.
Okay, so glyphs are symbolic language. Graphics are just visuals. And in the 5th dimension,
Higher senses, telepathic language, using symbols hieroglyph like in ancient Egypt, but a higher form, over 1,000 characters.
a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Right. But it adds a twist. You can't decipher the real truth, even with hieroglyphs, without melatonin, to access the 5th dimension, the mental plane. And you need imagination.
Melatonin. Interesting. So understanding requires more than just intellect, maybe an altered state.
That seems to be the idea. Intuition, imagination, may be facilitated by biological factors.
Okay. Then it describes an invocation ritual. 5 elements needed.
Fire, specifically 7 candles. Water, poured over drawn symbols. Wind, air, earth, dirt, and ether, the 5th element.
Invoking good beings is safe, bad ones dangerous. Gotta know what you're doing.
Standard magical precautions, really. Sea salt is also needed, but it says that's discussed later.
And where do these sigils come from?
An ancient book called The Key of King Ramesses II, Solomon, containing sigils and invocations to call on archangel power.
Like the sigil of Yanun Michael for strength and protection. Michael's described as guiding Elisha, protector of kingdoms, most powerful spirit after God.
Yeah, reinforcing his importance and providing a practical, ritualistic way to engage with this system, drawing authority from these supposedly ancient texts.
Then it tells a story about a specific demon, Ornias.
Right, an example narrative. Ornias harasses this young man favored by Ramesses II. Appears as a pretty woman at sunset.
Takes half his wages by sucking his vitality or soul through his phallus. And all his food.
The boy gets thin. Ramesses asks why, here's the story, and prays to God named here as Amun, Amen, Manu, El-Elo.
Lots of names for God.
Yeah. He asks for authority over the demon. Archangel Tahuti Michael gives him a magic ring with a pentagram seal.
Tahuti is Michael here.
Okay, barely. And Michael Tahuti tells Ramesses to imprison all demons and build the temple with their help using the seal of a new god. Ornias is called Pesky, and a jinn trapped by Ramesses.
So a concrete example of human-demon interaction and divine intervention using magic tools.
Exactly. And it connects to Middle Eastern folklore with a jinn reference.
Then we get a deep dive on Ornias himself.
Yeah, more details. Annoying, vampirizing demon from the Aquarius constellation, 187 light years away.
He and a third of his people fought the dragon, got kicked from the 5th dimension to the 7th.
That's the story. He can shapeshift. He's a great Marquis of Hell, 59th High Priest of Evil Spirits, commands 30 legions of demons.
Wow. His dominion includes transformation, prediction, sadism, prophecy, destruction, astrology, lust for death, honors, blood magic, finding treasure.
A real mixed bag of nasty stuff, plus some seemingly neutral things, like prediction, known as both a scholar and a leader.
And his appearance varies. Sometimes a lion on a horse with a serpent tail and snakes.
Or sometimes just a viscous man in black street clothes, white flesh, claws, big red eyes, orange pupils, fanged mouth without lips. Very unsettling descriptions.
Definitely. He's a dominion or domain bad angel demon. Teaches disciples to cast away compassion, harden hearts, feed off lusts.
Teaches astrology, necromancy, divination, can bestow abilities like seeing auras, enhancing perception, sexuality,
Yeah.
making you more analytical.
Impart vampiric power, give dignities, grant favor, help physical fitness, increase willpower, shape-shifting. It's quite a list of powers, good and bad sounding.
It is. And it mentions 3 demons incarnated as fine white Persian girls who are extraterrestrial. That's a specific detail.
Yeah. Okay, now, prepare yourself. The next section is titled The Kardashians and Ornias.
Right. This is where it takes a very contemporary and, let's say, unconventional turn.
It starts by asking why the Kardashians are famous and notes their tendency to date black men. Describes the family as obsessed with them, with the 3 main sisters having children by them.
And it brings up the criticism they faced for altering their bodies, lip injections, surgeries, tanning to fit an image associated with black women.
And then the text flat out calls them students of the demon Ornias.
It does. It directly links them to this demonic figure.
Ornias' legions are described as an army of female and male demons. Tenarians, Kuranians, Yakshians, succubi, incubi.
Coming from the Procyon star system, 11.45 light years away, they suck life force, energy from people.
They're described as disagreeable Procyon who broke off and went to a planet called Tanaru in the Aquarius system.
And Ornias is called a pimp, with pimp being an acronym for process into manipulating Procyonians. He's the demon who possesses pimps, apparently.
And the 3 sisters, Kim, Chloe, Kylie, are identified as the demons who convince women into prostitution, started the porn industry, coined sugar daddy.
That's the explicit claim made in the text. The men involved are called Johns, Ducks, Tricks. They're described as nymphos.
Their job, according to this, is to collect sperm of Nubian Gibberin, mostly famous athletes or entertainers, to produce children.
They take attractive forms to seduce humans, mostly Nubian men. These Procyonians chose to fight with the dragon, got cast to the low 7th dimension, or hell.
They know men's weaknesses, use them for control, have sex with sleeping men, causing wet dreams. They're masturbators, causing masturbation to collect sperm by mouth and send it to the microcomics.
That's a very graphic and specific description of their alleged activities.
Appearing in dreams, lingering, draining energy, sometimes leading the male victim to fall in love, but really just being drained to exhaustion, illness, or death.
Lilith and her daughters, the Lilim, are mentioned as succubi too. Lilith was Adam's mother here. Mixed seed with reptilians, started hybrid vampires, became a succubus after leaving her father, Adam.
Wow, okay. And these succubi are under Ornias's role, but have three captains, named as the sisters, Kim, Chloe, Kylie.
Incarnated today as the Kardashians, the text claims. Witches and demons from Procyon living on Earth's surface, driving human avatars.
Which is why, according to this, they go from man to man, and the men's careers decline after leaving them, taking their money.
And their mother is the old queen, a demon, queen of the succubi, passing the crown to her daughters, mainly Kim.
Okay. That was a lot. And just to reiterate for everyone listening, these are claims made within this specific source text, the Scroll of Eyes.
Absolutely. It's crucial to distinguish the content of the source from any kind of endorsement. It's a very specific and highly sensational series of claims linking modern celebrities to a detailed demonic mythology.
Phew. Well, that was certainly a journey, wasn't it? Through a truly unique set of ideas.
Definitely unlike anything else we've looked at recently.
So just to try and summarize some key themes, the Scroll of Eyes presents this incredibly complex cosmology. You've got elders, archangels, different types of angels, demons.
All interacting with humanity throughout history and right up to today. It lays out a very specific celestial hierarchy, a history of interventions, both divine and demonic.
And connects these ancient forces and ideas to very modern figures and phenomena, even pop culture. The way it blends ancient knowledge, like the 47th problem, with biblical figures, and then these really contemporary claims. It's a singular perspective, to say the least.
It really is. And this deep dive, it leaves us with so many questions, doesn't it?
For sure. Like, well, what are the full implications of that 2036 deadline mentioned with Sandalphon?
Yeah, and how exactly are these celestial vessels supposed to work? What does it even mean to receive an archangelic soul through buying one?
And those connections. Knights Templar, Umbrella Corporation, biological weapons. What further insights could possibly be gleaned there, according to this text?
And how are we supposed to interpret all the claims about sigils and invocation and the influence of demonic forces like Ornias in the modern world, especially regarding public figures?
It's a lot to process. For you, the learner, who told us you appreciate gaining knowledge quickly but thoroughly and like those aha moments.
Well, this source material certainly delivers on the unconventional information front, and maybe some potential aha connections, depending on your perspective. It offers a truly unique lens for viewing history, spirituality, even pop culture.
Yeah, things you probably wouldn't have considered in quite this way before.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. Whether you take these claims literally or see them as some kind of complex metaphorical framework about good versus evil, power, hidden influences.
Right, however you approach it.
The Scroll of Eyes undeniably challenges our conventional understandings of reality and, our place in it all. What aspects of this deep dive, this really intricate framework, resonated most with you? And what further explorations might you undertake if you wanted to understand these perspectives more deeply?